ZSIGMOND MÓRICZ, the founder of realism in Hungarian literature. Source: Suomi-Unkari, Magazine of the Finland-Hungary Friendship Society, 1952, Issue 10. ZSIGMOND MÓRICZ, the founder of realism in Hungarian literature. On September 4th this year, that is 1952, the Hungarian people celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the death of their greatest realist writer, ZSIGMOND MÓRICZ. Móric was born in 1879 and published his first work in 1908. The great originality of his first work, Seven Kreuzers, and its impact on the reading public demonstrated that ZSIGMOND MÓRICZ had started a new era in Hungarian literature, the era of the victory of realism. Footnote: Kreuzers were Austro-Hungarian money. End of footnote. The success of the work did not signify for Móric only that he escaped from the position of a writer arduously fighting for his livelihood, toiling at menial work at his desk, to a position where he could finally devote himself to his calling and make his living as a writer. Following this calling meant for him also a deeply human and political act, an act which was decisive for his whole life. He wrote his work, The Seven Kreuzers, at the deathbed of his little boy, and exactly this period he wrote, quote, "severed the cord tying me to the prevailing order," unquote. The greatest poet of that time, Endre Ady, noted clearly the significance of Móric by greeting him with the words, quote, "Look at ZSIGMOND MÓRICZ, who single-handedly equals an entire revolutionary detachment," unquote. It is evident that the subjective realization by Móric and the greeting by Endre Ady both mean the same thing, that a new writer had emerged who tore himself free from the ruling order of that time, even turned against it. The picture of the poverty of Hungarian villages portrayed by Móric evoked horror in the ruling classes of Hungary in the 1900s. But Móric did not stop at the naturalistic depiction of misery. He showed also what powerful passions burned within the people. But the bluntness with which he depicted the people was far from trying to hide the value and beauty that even misery couldn't eradicate from the soul of the people. His style, emanating inner devotion, decisively revealed the writer's sympathies, which were entirely on the side of the people's cause. No other Hungarian writer knew as much about the poor as Móric. His diary shows us how much the poor trusted in him. In 1931 he visited an old seamstress. Quote, "We spin yarn for 3 days, me and my daughter, to earn a kilo of flour," unquote. The elder confessed. Quote, "We earn 10 hellers per day, even spit costs more," unquote, said the elder to Móric, who wrote the words down. The picture of society portrayed by Móric is so rich because he has an equally good knowledge of the life of the class that oppresses the exploited, primarily of the wealthy peasants and large landowners. In numerous novels and countless short stories, he treats the world of the large landowners, who are ready to murder for the sake of an inheritance, a world in which the hunger for land even rules over the love of young lovers and the birth of children. He exposes the ways of this soulless cold world with shocking force in a novel which tells of a young orphan girl that a rich peasant borrowed from an orphanage to become a shepherd for free. ZSIGMOND MÓRICZ revealed the world of the Hungarian gentlemen, pompously sitting in their covered carriages, amusing themselves amid cafe-style or Magyar nota music, and demonstrated what crisis threatened it, what internal contradictions gnawed at its strength, how ripe it was to collapse. The protagonist of his famous novel, Gentleman's Party, which has been made into a movie after the liberation, commits suicide after an alcohol-filled party that has lasted for days, and proclaims a judgment not only on himself, but on the entire class he belongs in. Their way of living is aimless and can lead only to destruction. Móric exposes the outdated life of the patriarchal landowner in style, where we can detect even a small amount of sympathy and forgiveness. His criticism is all the sharper when he describes this boastful parasite class as rulers, as officials of ministries, the parliament, and the counties. He wrote about the corruption of Emperor Franz Joseph and Admiral Horthy with such revelatory force that the governments of Austria and Hungary, at whose weak points Móricz criticism struck, launched more than once ruthless persecutions against him. As a result of these persecutions, for some time he turned away from his own era and used his great ability at portraying people in his realistic genius in the service of the historical novel. Thus was born the Siebenbürgen trilogy, in which he portrayed in all its richness the feudal conditions of the 17th century, most varied and large-scale figures fighting for power, and gave an overwhelmingly colorful picture of the conflicting interests and great passions. Of his second historical trilogy, he finished only the first part, where he depicts the life of a certain Betjar, who had become a legendary hero, and the life of the people during the times of the 1848 liberation struggle. Footnote: Betjars were robbers and bandits in Old Hungary. They were usually either serfs or army conscripts who had decided to escape and become bandits instead. They came from the people and usually tried to defend the people, had sympathy for the people, and the regular people tried to help them. End of footnote. When ZSIGMOND MÓRICZ died 10 years ago, his life work filled 70 volumes. Since then, every year, new previously unknown works of Móricz's have appeared. The publication of his collected works has not been completed because new works keep appearing as if he was still alive and creating. Only now the immense vastness of his legacy has been discovered, which fill many volumes when collected, are still hidden in manuscripts and already long forgotten newspaper columns and segments. For now, the artistic and moral greatness of his legacy is impossible to evaluate. The deeper we dive into his legacy, the more we are captivated by the densely populated and varied world of his characters. The scale of this world resembles the scale of Shakespeare, Balzac, and Gorky. We can say that he was finally successful, albeit only in bits, in creating a quote-unquote humane play depicting the entire Hungarian society, a work which had appeared to him already in his youth. In Móricz's complete picture of the disintegration process of Hungarian feudalism and capitalism, the only thing that is missing is capitalism's gravedigger, the working class. But ZSIGMOND MÓRICZ has, if not from the industrial workers, then at least from the world of the rural poor, and his own childhood memories found humane values which he has described, and which are today manifested in the Hungarian people by their socialist construction. During the years of oppression, Móricz's also referred to those values as a guarantee of the future. Values of Móricz's sympathetic heroes, the tenacity, enthusiasm, and rich psychological life of his young and poor peasants no longer need to be suppressed, but they can manifest freely and for the good of the people. That is why the people of Hungary feel so close to ZSIGMOND MÓRICZ, a writer who, even in the worst years of oppression for decades, focused his entire attention to the people and took their side with all his heart. For that reason, on the 10th anniversary of the death of ZSIGMOND MÓRICZ, the people of Hungary remember their great writer with the most devoted heart and with almost childlike love.